Welcome back to Crystal Clear! I'm Vox, and we're here to round out the last of our Steven Future breakdowns for a while, thanks to the forever lingering hiatus, with Prickly Pear. Once again storyboarded by Drew Green and Paul Villeco, which, according to Drew Green, was his favorite episode to board on Future. Of course, spoiler warning, if you have not watched Prickly Pear, please go check it out, then come back here. With all that said, let's dive in. Now, this episode title is a play on the term prickly pear, though in this case it's a pear that comes from a cactus, but substituting the fruit for a pear ring. How Steven fails to be a good role model for Cactus Steven. Steven has taken up the plant life after leaving Little Homeschool, channeling his complex emotions into an unhealthy hobby, as he names all of his flowers and plants after his friends. The flower he names after Connie is the bluebell, a flower associated with everlasting love and constancy. I also appreciate the blue flower pot that served as a nod to his shirt color in the film, back when things were simpler, and Steven's mental health was steady for about 10 minutes. Ah, the good old days. This episode follows the blueprint of the classic 1986 horror comedy musical, Little Shop of Horrors, that also features a talking plant that thrives off human blood. Here, Steven sparks life Kite Steven with healing spit, but by being pricked by a plant in the first place, you can easily make the blood connection. As Cactus Steven quickly begins to sprout a life of his own, Steven dumps his emotional baggage on the plant, revealing the state he's come to over the course of Future. Steven not only feels lost, but he feels disconnected and lacking the confidence he once had in helping people, said confidence beginning to dwindle back in the episode guidance.
I still want to help people, but maybe I'm losing my touch.
Steven has put himself in a box of helping his loved ones. It was his sole purpose in life, which was clearly unhealthy, but at the time, because of his age, it was just seen as a cute, valiant effort. Now people are growing into their own, and the one thing he never expected was for the constant string of change everyone goes under to take his loved ones beyond a point of needing his help. Steven never considered that the next step for his friends, for their lives to advance, would be for them to take footsteps out of Steven's life. They'll always be there for him, they'll always be his friends, but he won't always be in the loop of their journeys. They won't need to come for him for help or advice. They're just able to figure things out on their own, something that Steven needs to do as well. Steven's attachment towards Cactus Steven is more than just a result of Steven feeling isolated, but it's a showcase of Steven's need to be an inspiration to help others. In this case, a sentient plant learning how to speak from Steven, learning emotion and behavioral patterns, Steven feels as if this plant needs them to properly grow and thrive. Hell, technically all these plants do. It's the reason why it makes perfect sense for Steven to turn to plants. They're capable of change, but they're dependent on their owner to keep them going. And after a certain point, they just kinda die and wither away. It's impossible for them to outgrow and leave Steven. Well, Cactus Steven being the only exception for obvious reasons. Something that was built up in Snow Day and returns here is Steven's drift between his family, feeling as if he can't open up because Pearl will take it too personally and hard. Garnet will make the situation feel a lot more simplified with her advice, Steven feeling belittled, and Amethyst's growth apparently comes across as sort of a condescending facade of maturity. Issues that Steven refuses to talk to the gems about directly. It's also alarming that Steven went pink mode against Cactus Steven, on the verge of doing who knows what before being halted by Pearl's voice. Cactus Steven taking note from this by manifesting an anger of his own, attacking Steven the following morning. This episode really uses the gems as levity for the cold reality of Steven's mental health deteriorating, as a lot of visual gags of them combating the cactus provides laughs when in reality, Steven's private thoughts are transformed into Cactus Steven's word vomit as the cactus gives the gems a workout. Ultimately, Steven resorts to what he's always done to get through to people: communication and empathy, acknowledging that Cactus Steven only had Steven's negative emotions to go off of. But, just as we said earlier, Cactus Steven does the one thing Steven tried to avoid by resorting to plants. Cactus Steven outgrows Steven and ventures out into the world regardless of Steven's wishes. Once again, someone Steven shared a connection with has drifted away from him, this time his own creation, in a short period of time nonetheless. This episode ends on an extremely sour note. Steven and his mother's behavioral patterns are slowly becoming one. While Steven's outbursts have never reached the scale of Pink Diamond, they are something that's happening. He feels disconnected from his family just as Pink Diamond did. And now, instead of talking about his problems, just as we learned in volleyball, Steven is once again following in his mother's footsteps by bottling up his issues and feelings, refusing to open up to the gems. And while I don't think Steven's going to start another war, I do believe that the worst has yet to come. And from here on out, things are only going to get harder for Steven and the Crystal Gems. Because now Steven has to deal with his greatest adversary, the one person he never even realized he had to get through to, himself. Whenever Steven's future returns, get ready. I think it's only going to get more intense from here. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I want to hear yours. What do you think? What were your thoughts on this episode? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below or tweet your thoughts at Roundtable Vids. And for more of my own thoughts, you can find me at Vox. We're also on Instagram. Help Roundtable grow by either becoming a member of this channel or supporting us over at Patreon. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please throw a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. Vox, signing out.